and welcome, and thank you for joining me on this lovely 75-degree weather, rainy Wednesday afternoon. It is May 27th. Today's counts are 1,742,981 U.S. cases with 101,894 U.S. deaths. News time. So, a New Jersey nursing home has received a hefty fine after federal inspectors discovered they had stuffed 17 bodies into their tiny morgue. The nursing home has currently 133 residents and 54 staff members who are infected with the virus. And so far, 94 residents and 1 staff member has died. According to the New York Times database, nearly 28,100 residents have died from the virus in nursing homes, making up nearly 1/3 of all the U.S. deaths. A white woman lost her job the other day after video footage of her was released of her choking her dog and threatening a black man with police after he refused to stop filming her. This series of events occurred after the man asked Amy Cooper to please comply with the park's leash laws. When she refused, saying that the other dog park was full, he began filming her. She then called local police and told them with a rising hysteria heard in her voice that an African-American man was threatening her and her dog, and to please come immediately. The dog, Henry, meanwhile, is seen thrashing around as he desperately tries to get some air while she lifts him halfway off the ground by his collar. Amy Cooper has since been forced to surrender the dog back to the shelter where she adopted him and has been fired from her job. The incidents occurred at 8:10 a.m. on Memorial Day in the Ramble, one of the semi-wild sections of Central Park, where dogs are required to be leashed at all times. George Floyd died this week on Memorial Day due to 4 Minneapolis cops kneeling on his neck for 5 minutes. The 46-year-old black man can be heard yelling, "I can't breathe," over and over until he passes out. He was then taken to a hospital where he died shortly after. It is currently unknown what supposed crime he committed or what led to the police saying that he was resisting arrest. The policemen have since been fired, but large protests now fill the streets as police officers and protesters clash. There are heard chants of "I can't breathe" and "it could have been me" ringing through the air. And their demands? They want charges and convictions of the officers involved. Only then will justice be served. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, agrees and has also demanded that the officers be charged. He has said, "We cannot turn a blind eye. It is on us as leaders to see this as what it is and call it what it is." George Floyd deserves justice, his family deserves justice, the black community deserves justice, and our city deserves justice. Officers responded to the riots by showing up in full riot gear and firing tear gas and flash grenades on the crowd. The crowd in turn hurled rocks, water bottles, and anything else they could grab back at the police. The number of police killings in the U.S. has hovered at around 1,000 per year, and this latest event is yet another example as to why we need reform in our police departments to reduce the number of needless deaths due to police brutality. President Trump has turned his attention on his beloved Twitter today, threatening to strongly regulate or even shut down the social media platform. This comes after Twitter has imposed a fact-checking link on the tweets by the president that are found to be false. Seen now is one such example where he tweets about fraud in mail-in ballots, and below it is a link attached to it by Twitter that says, "Get the facts about mail-in ballots." This is Twitter's response to a plea from a widower who lost his wife, Lori Klausutis, in 2001 due to a faulty heart and a nasty bump to the head. Trump has since repeatedly spread the conspiracy theory that Lori's co-worker, Joe Scarborough, murdered her after having an affair with her, despite the fact that he was nearly 800 miles away when she died, and investigators found no evidence of foul play. Her husband, Timothy Klausutis, has repeatedly asked Twitter to remove the tweet, saying, "I am asking you to intervene in this instance because the President of the U.S. has taken something that does not belong to him, the memory of my dead wife, and perverted it for perceived political gain." He has sent a letter to Trump asking him to please stop, but Trump brushed it aside, saying, "As you know, there is no statute of limitations, so it would be a very good thing to do." While Twitter did not remove the tweets, they did start fact-checking the president, so at least there's that. But Trump is not happy and has taken to Twitter, angrily tweeting that Twitter is interfering with the 2002 presidential election and stifling free speech. And finally, a nature-loving man has spent his time in lockdown building a gateway to imagination in his backyard. David North, aka Uncle David, spends the rest of his time hanging out with his husband, also named Uncle David, kayaking, performing, directing the church choir, and hunting. And at last, I leave you with some words from Martin Luther King Jr. "We need leaders not in love with money, but in love with justice. Not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity." Some words to ponder. Thank you for joining me for Cindy in the News. And have a good night, and don't forget to like and subscribe.